The moon hung low in the ink-black sky, casting feeble rays through the dense fog that clung to the earth like spectral fingers. As I approached the rusted gates of the graveyard, a chilling wind whispered through the gnarled branches of the ancient trees, their skeletal fingers reaching toward the heavens. The wrought iron gates creaked open with a haunting groan, their hinges protesting against the passage of time. I stepped cautiously onto the gravel path, the crunch of each footfall echoing eerily through the stillness. The fog enveloped me, thickening with every step, creating an otherworldly curtain that obscured the markers of the departed. Tombstones emerged like silent sentinels from the mist, their shapes distorted and elongated, appearing as if they were mournful figures yearning to share their untold tales. As I moved deeper into the graveyard, shadows danced on the edges of my vision, and the silence was broken only by the distant hoot of an owl or the rustle of unseen creatures in the underbrush. The flickering candlelight from the forgotten graves cast grotesque shadows that seemed to writhe and whisper secrets of the afterlife. The air grew colder, and an inexplicable heaviness settled over the graveyard. The dim glow of distant streetlights barely penetrated the ethereal shroud, leaving me disoriented in this haunted realm. My breath hung in the air like spectral apparitions, and the hairs on the back of my neck stood on end as an unearthly chill traced its icy fingers down my spine. I felt a sudden gust of wind as the clouds extinguished the feeble moonlight, obscuring the path, plunging the graveyard into absolute darkness. The silence became deafening, broken only by the distant tolling of a phantom bell. I strained my senses, feeling an unseen presence in the shadows, a malevolence that lingered just beyond the periphery of my vision. A distant murmur echoed through the tombstones, a chorus of whispers rising from the forgotten souls beneath the cold earth. Panic gripped my chest, and every rational thought screamed for escape. Yet, an unseen force compelled me forward, deeper into the heart of the graveyard, where the fog grew denser and the boundary between the living and the dead blurred into a chilling dance of the supernatural. As my eyes scanned the somber landscape, they were drawn to an unassuming plot that seemed to emanate a sinister energy. A solitary tombstone, weathered and forgotten, stood apart from the others. The moonlight revealed an inscription that sent a shiver down my spine, a name that had once struck fear into the hearts of the living. The grave of Malcolm Blight, a murderer, marked by the weight of his dark deeds, lay undisturbed by time. A cold wind whispered through the trees, and the name on the tombstone seemed to shimmer with an ominous presence. Malcolm Blight. The name echoed in my mind like a sinister refrain. I reached into my bag, revealing a notebook and a small recorder, ready to document the details of this notorious resting place. His story had long been forgotten by the public, lost in the annals of time. My investigation aimed to shed light on the dark tale that had unfolded, unraveling the threads of his malevolent deeds. I began to speak into the recorder, detailing the eerie ambiance of the graveyard, the ominous presence surrounding Malcolm's final resting place, and the macabre history that had etched his name into the annals of crime. As a reporter documenting the forgotten chapters of Malcolm Blight's life, I couldn't help but wonder if his malevolence still lingered, woven into the fabric of the graveyard itself. With a final glance at the tombstone, I left the haunted realm, carrying with me the weight of a story that would soon be unveiled to the world. The graveyard seemed to stretch endlessly, the boundaries elusive in the disorienting haze. My breaths came in ragged gasps, and the chill of the night clung to me like a shroud. The wind carried with it the mournful wails of the forgotten, a symphony of anguish that reverberated through the tombstones. Was this Malcolm's attempt to reach into my very soul? As I burst through the threshold, the fog released its grip, and the unearthly atmosphere began to dissipate. The moon cast its feeble light upon the path ahead, revealing the safety of the outside world. Finally, the gates emerged from the gloom, their rusted bars a welcome sight. I pushed myself harder, my legs burning with the effort to escape the spectral realm that clung tenaciously to my heels. The creaking gates drew closer, their skeletal fingers beckoning me toward the world of the living. I stumbled into the cool night air, gasping for breath and turning to look back at the graveyard. The fog hung thickly over the cemetery, concealing the eerie secrets within. Shadows flickered, and for a fleeting moment, I could have sworn I saw ethereal figures standing among the tombstones, their eyes following my escape with an otherworldly gaze. With a shiver coursing through my body, I stumbled away from the gates, leaving the haunted graveyard behind. The echoes of whispers lingered in my ears, a haunting reminder of the supernatural encounter. Though I was free from the clutches of the misty abyss, the memory of that foggy night in the graveyard would forever haunt the recesses of my mind.